James Melendez, thank you for joining me today. These Esporão wines are next. Now, I'm going to talk about these two wines. We have two Vinho Verde and two Douro red wines. Stay tuned, and I'll tell you about each of these wines. So please be sure to subscribe to this channel. If you've already subscribed, obrigado to you. Thank you so much. So I was on a tasting with wine journals, and the winemaker is José Luis Moreira da Silva, and Frank Paredes is a U.S. director for Esporão. And so to me, I think there's a point in difference. I get a lot of bottles to taste, and sometimes it's nice to put context and experience and really get the voice of the producer and to give me some indications of where they're going, where they've been, and specific questions I've had, and it's an amazing resource. So here we go first. This is the Bico Amarela. Now this is a 2020 vintage. 2019 is right up here in the playlist, and I'm going to show you the back label, and just I'm going to point that downward so you can see a bit of the copy and items on the back. So Vinho Verde certification. So when people think of Vinho Verde, I don't think people think of each individual wine component, that is the wine varieties. This is Loureiro, Alvarinho, and Ameal. It's not just easy drinking because that's a cliche. It's a beautiful wine to enjoy time and again, and to enjoy with family and friends. And I think it's a really pleasant experience where I get to taste beautiful wines. And this is a wine where I point out high quality production, expert winemaking, and you're not paying a lot of money for this wine. So I think, to me, this is a fantastic value in 2021, and it's been that way for quite some time, and I hope will continue to be that way. Some vinification notes. Manual harvest, pneumatic press for whole grapes, cold decanting on the must for 48 hours, fermentation at controlled temperatures, say between 10 and 15 degrees centigrade, which is about 50 to 59 degrees Fahrenheit, for 12 to 15 days. 11.5% ABV, which I would definitely expect. Super dry, so this is less than 1.5 grams of sugar per liter, and so this is bone dry. So I very much love this experience of quince, freshly shelled almonds, orange blossom, and fresh flowers. And next, the palate characterization. Superbly fresh on this. I'm loving enjoying the freshness. So very nice, appreciable acidity on this. It's one of these acidities that's not bracing, but it's one that is just welcoming, and just a very wonderful experience. Gorgeous freshness to this wine, and this is giving an expression of apple, pears, hint of quince, green citrus notes, so a lot of fruit notes on this. Crushed seashells for minerality as well as sapidity. Gorgeous wine. This is 93 points out of 100 points. And next I'll be reviewing the Ameal Loureiro wine. So just like last year, I did taste a 2019 on this Vinho Verde as well, and superb wine. And so this is just one variety, which I think is a nice hit to understand the wine grape varieties and how they taste. So Ameal 2020 vintage, and Loureiro, the wine grape. You're not going to see Vinho Verde on the front, but you will see it on the back right there. And so this is one that's a higher price point of $18, but it is a superbly crafted bottle of wine. Not a lot of bottles exist that are made from this producer, only 50,000 bottles in total. So this is, again, very dry. It's a very similar RS, which is about 1.5 grams of sugar per liter, so super dry. And also on this, it's 100% Loureiro, 11.5% ABV. So the vinification on this wine is manual harvest, pneumatic press of whole grapes, cold decanting the must for 48 hours, fermentation at controlled temperatures between 10 and 15 degrees centigrade, which is about 50 to 59 degrees Fahrenheit, for 15 days. Now the aging on this is contact with leaves for 7 months in stainless steel at controlled temperatures. And I think this is an exquisite, beautiful variety that is full of character. So the nose on this is yellow stone fruit, fresh citrus, flowers, and moistened minerals. And next, the palate characterization. So these two bottles right here of the Vinho Verde express differently, and to me, to get 100% Loureiro is completely worth it. And this is an exquisite bottle, and I think even for the price point, which is noted in some ways that this is more expensive than the average bottle, but who wants an average bottle of Vinho Verde? I don't. What I very much enjoy about this is its expression and expressiveness. So this has the same residual sugar, so it's a very dry wine, but this tastes even drier. And that's really thinking about this in terms of, say, the grape itself. So it's a very aptly dry wine, apples, star fruit, as well as quince, oyster shell, and on the finish, a very nice, delicate note of guava. So this is a 94-point wine out of 100 points. And I think this is absolutely stunningly gorgeous. And before, I know I'm going to get a question on what is star fruit. Star fruit, here's a picture of a star fruit. And to me, it just represents a nice freshness as opposed to a sweet, very overly sweet tropical fruit note. But to me, it's really appreciable in this wine here. Next is the red Douro wines. Now, there are very well-known producers of port, fortified wines from the Douro. And it's something that, everybody knows that, but I think more people are coming to understand the non-fortified wines, the red and white wines coming from this region. I think they're splendid and beautiful wines, and I think they're a good value price point. And so the first wine is the Quinta dos Moras, and so this is a Douro wine, red wine called Assobio, 2017 vintage. And I'll bring this out right here so you can see the label itself and see the back panel. So Assobio means whistle, and that's coming from the windy location. And so I can just imagine, I've never been to the Douro, so there's a wind current that comes through the Douro River Valley, and so hence the name for this particular wine. And so this is containing the following wine grapes of Touriga Nacional, Touriga Franca, and Tinta Roish. Now, vinification of this wine is hand-picked grapes, destemmed, pre-fermentation, cold maceration with temperature control between 25 degrees centigrade, which is about 77 degrees Fahrenheit, and that's a maximum temperature, and a membrane pressing. Now the aging on this wine is 10% of this blend is aged in oak casks for 6 months. So the price point is $14. It's a 13.5% ABV wine, and I have reviewed previous wines on this, the 2011 and 2012. So fast forward, and I'm in 2017 tasting this vintage. So on this, I'm getting notes of cassis, suede notes, boot polish, as well as bay leaf and violets. I love the term boot polish. I think it's a positive term, and it's one where I picked that up from James Halliday. So kudos to him on that particular identifier and descriptor for wine. And next, the palate characterization. So I love the language this wine is speaking. So I'm getting notes of red and black cherry, white pepper notes, cinnamon stick, and thyme. A bit of violet note as well. So to me, this is very expressive, beautiful. It's not going to be just one expression. And to me, I think this is really that beautiful polished experience. 92 points out of 100 points. And next is the last wine. So next is this wine. This is the Quinta dos Moras. Now this is the Minas wine 2018 vintage, a $24 suggested retail price point. I'm gonna go around this bottle because it has a larger front label and then it goes to a back label right here. And I think what's really cool about this, it gives an elevation and it shows that it's south facing, and it says that this is 110 meters to 300 meters, which is about, I believe, 360 to 980 feet above sea level. So this wine is south facing, this is a north facing wine. Now this wine is going to have the following grapes: Touriga Nacional, Touriga Franca, Tinta Roish, and Tinta Cao. So this is going to have the additional component of the Tinta Cao that the other wine didn't have, a 13% ABV wine. It's a fantastic red wine with fish, and one that I do quite often actually. And it's not just salmon. So salmon is often assigned to being that fish that can handle almost everything, which it can to a certain degree. But I think this is a nice fish to enjoy with a white fish. So I think to me this is very expressive and beautiful, and markedly different, and there's nothing wrong with this wine. It's just they're different wines altogether. So the vinification of this wine, it's hand-picked grapes, destemming, crushing, fermentation with indigenous yeast at temperatures between 25 to 28 degrees centigrade, which is about 77 and 68 degrees Fahrenheit. And so there's going to be a granite lagares, which is for foot treading and pressing in vertical presses. And so I think that's a nice experience. I'd love to experience that, by the way. That's something I haven't done before, and that would be fun to do. This is aged in concrete tanks and used French barrels for 9 months. And so I'm going to talk about this one in terms of its nose experience as well as the palate. So on this, I'm getting notes of Amarela cherry, outdoorsy notes, suede, autumnal forest, and bay leaf. Next is the palate characterization, followed by the point score. So gorgeous tart cherry notes on this, as well as cassis, freshly ground white pepper, clove, graphite, and cinnamon stick. This wine's 94 points out of 100 points. So for a $24 suggested retail price point, it's very flexible, versatile, and I would enjoy this drinking on its own. Now, if you serve these with food, be sure to ask your guests, if you're serving this with other people, to enjoy for a moment before starting with the food, to taste the wine, and then obviously taste the wine with your food. But to me, I think it's a great way of tasting, understanding these beautiful Portuguese varieties, and I think it goes a long way. Good value. I think the winemaking style is fantastic, and these are, I think, some of my favorite wines I've tasted this year from Portugal. So thank you for watching. Stay connected. You'll find my videos, in the playlist right here of Esporão. So these are all vegan wines. I just want to point that out. So I'll put this in my vegan playlist as well, because all these wines are vegan wines. So let's stay connected. You'll find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And so questions and comments down below. Give a like to this video. Share this video to somebody who wants to discover wines from Portugal, especially these two particular regions, Vinho Verde as well as the Douro. So thank you so much for being here today. I do appreciate it. Come back to the tasting table for more wine reviews. Obrigado. Thank you. Cheers and Sud.